But I want to say thank you, first of all, to the presenters who have come here today and have given of their time. They are amazing. Chai and Dawn and Jim and Michelle and Kevin and Lannis, thank you all very much. And everybody join me in giving them another round of applause. I also have really bright lights, so I can no longer see what I wrote, and I'll just have to make it up. I heard, I think at least once today, somebody ask a question about why it is that the court keeps coming and saying, we need you to come help people. And some of you know that recently we've not only said we think that lawyers have an ethical obligation to give of their time without cost, we've said we are establishing an ideal of 50 hours a year, an hour a week that we wish you would spend, and we are asking you voluntarily, not mandatorily, to report that time, and we're beginning to honor people who give that time. And a lot of people are scratching their heads going, you know, we do this, we do it on our own. Maybe the court thinks this is some noble task, but maybe when we ask too hard, it sounds like we're really trying to force it. So I hope that the question of why we are asking people to do this has been answered for you today by other people who could answer it a lot better than me. If you listen to each of these folks talk about their examples, you know, and I want to leave you with just 5 little things, but the first one, and it was presented by Dean Doug Blaze this morning, is that the need in Tennessee is great. There are today perhaps as many as 1.3 million people living at or just above the poverty level in Tennessee who in a given year have a need, have an issue in their lives that could use civil legal help. Most of them don't have the money to find a lawyer, and many of them, even if they have some funds, don't know where to look. And don't even know that the issue that they have is a legal problem that could be helped with legal advice. 1.3 million. Now, the second part of that is that we have excellent lawyers working for our legal aid associations, our legal aid societies in Tennessee, the Tennessee Justice Center. You've met a number of them and heard from them today. They are incredible. I think they are probably among the very best lawyers that we have in Tennessee, but there are only about 75 to 80 or 82 of them if you count the TJC lawyers. 82 lawyers, 1.3 million people. You heard Michelle say, 100,000 denials last year. They were able to handle 900, and 900's a lot for 4 lawyers, but it doesn't begin to cover the need. So there is no doubt that our fellow citizens in Tennessee need a help that only we can give. And they're not nameless, faceless people who are not like us. They are us. They may be our neighbors. They may be people whose children sit next to ours in school. They may be people who worship with you at your house of worship. They may be veterans. They may be people who work in the businesses that you frequent, somebody at the grocery store that you see. They are part of our community, and yesterday they may have been living like you, but it only takes for a middle-class family for the main breadwinner to lose a job, to not have money for a while, to not be able to pay a mortgage or rent, to lose insurance that went with the job, and then to have a catastrophic illness or to be thrown out of a home. And suddenly a very comfortable lifestyle becomes a very scary lifestyle for parents, for children, particularly for people with special needs. And so there is great need in Tennessee, and there are excellent lawyers, but not nearly enough of them to help. And that's where the rest of us come in, because there's an army of us. There are 21,000 plus licensed lawyers in Tennessee. And all of us, when we became lawyers, take the same oath. It's an oath to uphold the laws and the Constitution. It's an oath to uphold our ethical obligations, one of which is the ideal that we will provide legal services without charge to other people who need that. Think of what 21,000 of us could do to help those people if each of us only spent a very few hours every week or every year. And that's why the the Tennessee Supreme Court and the Tennessee Access to Justice Commission recognized a few years ago, when we were in the middle of a depression, that it was time to do something about it. It was time to lift up the issue. It was time to remind each other and remind ourselves of those idealistic reasons why many of us became lawyers, and that is to help other people. And so we have done that. I'm here today, and I had a great time spending the day with you. I got to speak to a lot of you, and there's some of you I have not. And I thank Tony Seaton for coming here from Johnson City, and Doug Blaze for coming here from Knoxville and from the law school, of which he is the dean. Both of them are members of our commission. And every time we have a training or an event, some member of the Supreme Court and some member of the commission has committed that we'll be here and we'll spend the day with the people who are spending their day with us. And we do that to say, you mean a lot to us, and we are really committed to this issue, all of us equally. And we are willing to devote our time if we are asking you to devote your time. Because together, the 21,000 of us can make a difference. We can deal with the issues of veterans benefits and health benefits and children who are in need, and people who, if they could simply get some kind of disability benefit, could live a much more productive and sometimes even a longer life. And that's what this is all about. So you don't want me to summarize the law that we've heard today, because I, like you, am not an expert in all of it. But I'm grateful to those who are. And those experts, those folks from Legal Services and the Tennessee Justice Center and private attorneys who are experts, aren't going away. If you commit to join this army, you're not ever going to be alone. Every one of the people who has spoken to you today has said, call me, email me. My information is on the handouts. There are websites. There are books. Michelle's offered you some great big thick book, and pretty soon an app that will tell you very easily how to help the many people who need help. As a team, we can accomplish that which alone we never could, and we can serve many of those 1.3 million people in Tennessee who are our neighbors and who are our friends, who may be our family members, and who sometimes may be us, but who have a need and whose lives can be bettered and possibly extended to live more safely and with better health if we can help them. I urge you today to join the Army, and the next steps that you can do are to fill out the forms that you find in your books and say you want to help. There are lots of ways to help. Some of you are going to go back to your houses of worship and use what you've learned here. Some of you are going to go back to your law firms, inform clinics. Some of you may go back to your bar associations. We don't want to limit the way in which we take this and serve it. The groups that gather together. We have 501c3 organizations in Nashville. There's an organization already formed that helps often struggling and penniless songwriters and creative artists who are negotiating for their first contracts, and those are the people that they are dealing with. There are people with different needs all over our state. There are many places that you can serve them, in your law firm, in your community. But by doing so, you're going to make our communities better. So as we leave this afternoon, I do have to remind you, turn in all your forms, turn in your name tag and your CLE forms and your evaluation forms, and please, please fill these out and say that you are willing to join our Army. And there will be baskets at the back as you go out the door. You can leave all of those things. We are so grateful to you, and I will just close by saying something that I say every time I speak, I guess, so that means some of you now have heard it a lot of times, but it's still true. A community is only as strong as the justice we can provide to our most vulnerable citizens. As a community of Tennessee, or as a community of the 21,000 lawyers and other legally associated people who are in this room today, we are and can be a tremendous army, and we can provide a great deal more justice to Tennesseans. I ask you to join with us in doing that. Thank you again for your attendance.